500 horsepower and 544 pound-feet of torque makes this pretty quick. I mean, you kind of expect that. It is a Type S after all. It is, well, supposedly the quickest and best performing Acura model that they have. Well, I mean, it's definitely the one with the most horsepower, and it's definitely the one that's quickest off the line, but I don't know about the best performing. Hello, my name is Jimmy, and welcome to the 2024 Acura ZDX Type S. Unlike the ZDX from previous years, where it was based off the MDX and just have its back chopped off, kind of like that coupe SUV style, this is more, well, Acura SLX. If you don't remember the SLX, I don't blame you because, well, it came out in the 90s and not a lot of people bought it. It was quite expensive for its day. I mean, with inflation, it's like 80,000 Canadian now, which, yeah, that's quite a bit of money, but not this price level. This is 94,000. I mean, you can get a base ZDX non-Type S, which is called the A-Spec, at least here in Canada, for under 80. But this is 94. Yeah, 94,000 Canadian dollars is a lot of money, and I get that most people won't even look at this too much. It's not designed for everybody. It's not even designed for the 1%. It's designed so that, well, if you walk into an Acura showroom and you say, I just don't know about the MDX. Well, I like the MDX. I want electrification. Acura just doesn't have anything to provide right now. Honda, well, they're just a little behind when it comes to extended range electric vehicles. And because of that, they just have to borrow GMs. There's nothing wrong with that. But, well, this isn't the Acura product that you may be hoping for. It's fine as a car. It's quick. It has big brakes. It's spacious. But there's pieces that, well, just make it not the best. Let me pull over here and just explain the interior bits and pieces, because I feel like that's where this lets me down the most. I mean, it doesn't look bad in here, but it definitely looks GM, and it looks a lot like the Prologue as well. I mean, the center infotainment screen, that's straight out of the Prologue. It's exactly the same with the same volume knob. Even the climate control is the same. They just didn't change too much within this vehicle for the ZDX. Unlike the Prologue, the ZDX does get a heads-up display, which, I mean, it's nice to have, but the, well, cluster, it's very, very similar. You'll be hard-pressed to kind of find the difference between the two. Very similar with the seats. They're heated and cooled, but there's no massaging. And while there are some like bolsters that can be adjusted and the thigh support can be adjusted, they just don't feel, well, that much better than the Prologue. As for people in the back, I mean, that is slightly elevated than the Prologue. You get your own climate control, you get heated seats, you also get shades on the side, which a Prologue doesn't get. In terms of space, though, it's basically the same. Headroom, legroom, it's very similar. And the width of the vehicle, it's wide enough for you to fit 3 people in here comfortably. And, well, I am a child passenger safety technician, so I do want to show you exactly how car seats fit. On the driver's side, this is a Collect Lane infant seat. No problems getting that in. There's a lot of room within the cabin itself. While the doors don't open like a full 90 degrees, it still really wasn't a problem because the platform is just so long. On the right, this is a Collect Foof in rear facing. My child's currently in this. Yeah, I didn't have to move the passenger seat forward or anything like that. There's plenty of room within the cabin for it, so it is a good place for kiddos. In terms of lower anchors, you get 2 sets, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger. Very easy to find just behind these clips. And then you got 3 upper anchors just in the trunk area. Speaking of the trunk, well, it's very similar to the others. Space, well, not much more or less than the others at 29.7 cubic feet. There's no additional space below like, well, a Tesla Model Y would have, and you don't even get a frunk because that's just all engine covers. So Ultimately, it's definitely not the most amount of space, but you can fold the rear seat 60-40. There's a remote button here just on the left, so you're able to fold those down easily. But sadly, they're not electrically powered, so you can't fold them back up as easily. And when you start driving it, well, if you're not driving it aggressively, you really don't notice much of a difference between this and the Prologue. I mean, steering is fine. You get some different sounds in here depending on throttle application and the drive modes you're in. Drive mode is a weird button here just by my left knee. You also get your air suspension button there, but it's just weird how it's there and not here in the center where it's just more accessible. One thing that this has over the Prologue is the Super Cruise. I know Acura doesn't call it that, but it is what it is. It's Super Cruise. It has the same map coverage as Super Cruise. The way that it's just the same. It's great. On highways that's mapped, it's, well, hands-free driving. You don't have to worry about like even twitching the steering wheel every now and then. It is full hands-off, but you still have to pay attention. It's not like you can just sit in the passenger seat and keep going. What I can say is the suspension is very compliant. It's nice and smooth. The cabin is nice and quiet. Not a lot of noise gets in from outside. The platform itself is solid, which it should be for how much they spent on it. I mean, it's not like it's a bad car, but it doesn't stand out in the market. That's the problem. And at 94,000 Canadian dollars, while it is less than that of a Mercedes EQE, a BMW iX, well, it doesn't really compete with them. It is a notch down from that. And if I was to compare this to the Lyriq, well, some would say the Lyriq's interior is harder to get used to, but it has more pizzazz because it has a wider and more fancy screen. And just the overall design, the Lyriq versus this, I don't know. Of course, design is very, very subjective, so you can let me know how you feel about it in the comment section down below. But that's really it. That's all I gotta say about the ZDX. It's fine, but I feel like they could do better. And I know they will, because the next product, whatever that's gonna be, the MDX electrified or whatever they want to call it, that's gonna be the one that's gonna, well, take Acura to that electrified stage. That's gonna be the product that, well, changes Acura. This is just an interim product, exactly like the SLX. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.